Welcome back, party people, to my workshop. We've done another couple of weeks worth of experiments, and if you've been keeping up to date, you've noticed that one of them has not gone according to plan. This is more or less the rest, or the leftover bit, as well as a few other bits and pieces here of that. One sec. Wait. So yes, this week or these last 2 weeks we had what was supposed to be a winged mulga bowl, and then I've done this bit of jarrah firewood, sort of natural edge, I suppose, but with the embellishment on the outside. We'll start off with the one that went horribly wrong. So this bit of mulga comes from South Australia. My folks went out there earlier on in the year to do some camping and some driving around and some adventures, and I got my dad to bring back whatever he could find, really, and it was an old fence post from I guess a station out in the middle of nowhere. So mulga is a desert timber here in Australia. It grows more or less everywhere across the country in arid, low rainfall areas. It's an acacia. It's hard as nails. It's got this really nice dark brown timber heartwood, and then it's got the contrasting sapwood. I don't have any. Here's a bit that isn't mulga, but it's a similar acacia, but you can see you've got the dark heartwood and some really nice contrast in the sapwood. It's fantastic stuff, and I was really excited to make something out of this old fence post, and I have made firewood, so I've still made something, but it's just not nearly as exciting as what it could have been. Now, the process of this forever minimizing bowl, I had an idea of doing a winged bowl. I wanted something that sort of flared out and contacted the table or the base or the bench or whatever, the floor, and held up a bowl in the middle, so it was sort of suspended. And I hoped that I could have got that out of this piece of wood. And then one of the wings fell off, so it was going to be a lopsided winged bowl, and then another one fell off, and then it just turned into nothing. So a bit disappointing, but I found that when I got into it, I would stop and have a look at the way it was coming together, and I wasn't overly happy with the general shape and the feel of the whole the whole bowl. So I'm disappointed that it didn't work out, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad, because I don't think it would have come out as I had sort of hoped. So sort of a blessing in disguise, maybe. It's still a shame that there's such a big failure on this one, but it is my fault, because this stuff is notorious for having heaps and heaps of micro fractures through it, especially something as old as this, that it's been sitting in the sun for donkeys, so it's hasn't been seasoned correctly, and then it's just sat in the sun drying out. It's been hit by the weather, so it's got micro fractures through it, and that's why it's failing like it was. And again, I should have known that. Took the risk, took the hit. I'll probably try and do something like this later on in the challenge. I've never done one before. It was the first attempt. Didn't go well. Let's try again later on. But yeah, fantastic bit of wood, and now it's going to be some fantastic kindling in the fire when it cools down a bit, probably next year. So I'll hold on to it until then. unless one of you want to buy it by any chance for your firewood collection, maybe. It's dense as, so it burns really well. Let's go on to this one. This was I would say a raging success, just about. We've got an indoor fireplace at our house, and then on our back deck we've also got a potbelly to heat up when we're outside in winter, and there was this chunk of firewood sitting there ready to go in, and for whatever reason it didn't get burnt that night, and it just sat there for a few weeks, that not getting used. It was too big for our indoor one, and just looking at the grain in it, it was way too gnarly for me to try and split. So I just left it outside, and I would walk past it every day from the house to the workshop, and it just had this ripple through it every time I walked past, and which is the ripple in the bottom of this bowl. I don't know if you can see from there, but I guess cool to me is probably a bit too much, but I was interested to see what it was going to turn out like. So filming day came, picked it up, cut it out as best as possible to see what would happen. I had just gone, and I'd just come back from a week away at a collaborative woodturning event where there was some of the best artists, woodturners in Australia were there, and I picked up a whole heap of stuff, including some embellishment work, little carving stuff. So I thought I'd give it a shot on this. So it's a pretty simple shape. In terms of technical work, the wall thickness is pretty good. It does get a bit thicker at the bottom, but not that noticeably. The general transition curves in it are nice. I mean, it's a gnarly piece of wood. It was going to be firewood. It's got imperfections galore. So, wasn't expecting perfection. But then going around the outside and putting all these divots or dimples, I think it's completely transformed the bowl from something that would have been interesting and nice sitting on the table, on the bench, to something that is a bit more of an art piece rather than just another funky, natural edge-esque kind of bowl with some interesting grain through it. So, this Jarrah one I'm really happy with. I liked trying something different. Before up to this point, it's anything that I've done differently has been a different shape, more so than a different artistic technique to put on something. So we'll be doing more embellishment work on other bits and pieces, maybe more bowls later on, I'm not too sure. But overall, this one's a little ripper. I really like this one. It came out well. The finish is nice on it. If I was being super picky, I probably again could make the base a little bit narrower. Get that into that's really all I would do differently next time on something like this, is just make a smaller base to make it, I don't know, maybe look a little bit more fine, lift it up a little bit more. I guess the smaller it is, the more it's going to potentially look like it's floating, which would be quite nice. But we're sort of being a bit picky on that. But again, I want to be picky, so the next one's going to be better. The next one's going to be better. The next one's going to be better. Or the next one's going to fall apart. So either way, that one, great learning curve in terms of timber selection, trying something different, keeping safe when things go horribly wrong. This one, a good little experiment, trying something different. This one came out really well. Back to this one quickly, the video I put out was probably not as good as what it could be. I had some camera issues where I lost a whole bunch of footage due to the fact that I was turning it on when I thought I was turning the video off. So there was a lot of footage of me standing around and looking at the work rather than doing the work itself. So I apologise for that. It happens, my bad. But there's still a video, which was good, and hopefully on the next one I don't make too many more mistakes like that. So again, thank you very much. I'm loving the comments. Keep it up. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I can have some communication with the people that are watching. It makes me feel a lot better and makes me feel like I'm actually talking to someone instead of a camera on a tripod. So that's great. Remember to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Let your friends know if they're interested. I know a lot of people might not look into these kind of videos just because, but I have spoken to people that like watching woodturning stuff because it's a bit relaxing. They like watching things transform, and I'd like to think that my videos are good for that because you can turn the sound off, or it is just the sound of me working, so there's no hardcore music or talking that you have to pay attention to. So like and subscribe, keep it up. I really appreciate you guys watching. Let's hope that the next one comes out better than this one and as good as that one, and if not better. All right, cheers guys, thanks a lot, see you later.